Welcome to the Fishbowl Radio, everybody. My name is Chief here, and I'll be the only one doing the show here today. Juicy has a night off. Alright, we're going to talk about the New Orleans Saints schedule release here. It was a very interesting day yesterday when the Saints had their schedule handed down. It came out like 4 o'clock yesterday, but they had a live televised broadcast around 7. They had some leaked part of the schedule there. So we're going to get into that a little bit here. We're going to talk about the most intriguing matchup that I'm looking forward to in this NFL season as we get down to business here today. So the first thing I want to talk about is the big game that everybody's been kind of talking about and wondering how will that all end up doing for everyone involved with the teams and everything. So let's look at the schedule here. The NFL didn't quite go to a whole 17-game season yet. In the preseason, the Saints are going on the road to the Los Angeles Rams in the preseason. The Saints are also going to be at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Houston Texans, and Miami Dolphins to round out their preseason schedule. And in the regular season, they got their first home game, season opener, against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then they go to a away game at Las Vegas Raiders. Then a home game against the Green Bay Packers. Away game against the Detroit Lions. Home game against the Los Angeles Chargers. Home game, they had a bye week after that. Then they take home against Carolina Panthers. Away game at Chicago Bears. And then another away game at Tampa Bay Buccaneers. San Francisco, home game, 49ers. Home game against Atlanta Falcons, at the Denver Broncos, at Atlanta Falcons, then at Philadelphia Eagles, then home against Kansas City, home against Minnesota, and at the Carolina Panthers. Okay, so we know we got divisional round matchups here. In the NFC South, this upcoming season is going to be an interesting one, to say the least, for sure. You know the home opener, they got Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who is now, they have their starting quarterback, Tom Brady. That's going to take some time getting used to, not saying New England Patriots. So, that is one game I think that's going to draw a lot of attention, just based on the fact of how well Tom Brady has done for the Patriots over the course of his career. It's a game that I'm interested in seeing them do. So, that'll be an interesting one. And I think the Monday night game against the Las Vegas Raiders, you know, the Raiders, they came from Oakland, the Oakland Raiders in California. So, that will be on ESPN. So, it's going to be their stadium home opener in Las Vegas. So, there's going to be a lot of people going to be interested and seeing how well that new stadium looks for the Raiders. It doesn't really do much for a team too much, but you never know how some of this stuff is even going to happen. So, yeah, it's going to be a very interesting schedule release point here. You got Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers going to the dome of the New Orleans Saints at 7:20 on NBC. Then they got a Sunday matchup next week at the Detroit Lions. It's kind of like one of them matchups, like nothing much there. I was reading an article, and they said the Saints had the 25th in terms of rankings. Like, they went from easiest to hardest. So if you're saying they got the 25th ranking in that thing, that schedule they had there, that's like rounds about 7th. They're going to have the 7th toughest schedule in the NFL this year. According to, they all base this stuff all happened last season, but a lot of stuff has happened since last season. Not almost every single, like half the NFC South teams have different quarterbacks over the past year. Teddy Bridgewater is now still going to be the starting quarterback for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, he used his job with the Saints to get him in that job, which a lot of people expected that to happen. You just kind of wish it wouldn't go to divisional rival. Jameis Winston is no longer starting quarterback at Tampa Bay. He got released, and then the Saints ended up picking him up, signing him to be the backup to Drew Brees. Or we'll figure out how that's going to work, because they said Taysom Hill was their guy, then they go sign Jameis Winston. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that works. I'm interested in seeing how it all works. So you never know how all that stuff's going to work there. All right. Let me go back here. You see, this is all our videos that we have on YouTube right here. If you can't catch it on Facebook, you can catch us on YouTube and wander at your leisure here. We have a bunch of stuff here, so let's go back to our logo here. Such a nice logo. But anyway, the Saints schedule another game that I'm looking forward to is the matchup again with the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers are led by Jimmy Garoppolo. He's going to be a very good... He just kind of didn't do much throwing down the field too much last year. The Saints did pick up Emmanuel Sanders from the 49ers. That has to be mentioned. So it adds more to that Saints offense. And it might even help out Michael Thomas, because he's not going to be as covered as he once was, because you got to worry about Emmanuel Sanders on the other side of that ball. So it's going to be interesting to see what is going on here. Let's see. If you look at everything here, the Saints here, also you got the deal with the Falcons. Their first game against the Falcons is not until, I'm looking to see, November 22nd, and it's at home in the Dome. So it's going to be very interesting to see what is going to happen there. So with the Saints and everything going on there, it's going to be a lot going on. Back to something I want to talk about that was very interesting to me as a sports fan and everything else, is that I've noticed that more and more leagues are starting to be opened up to be playing here. I know I'm talking about the Saints schedule release, but I think it has a point here. I believe the NFL has a plan. They have something in mind in how they're going to roll out their season. They've probably thought about this and rolled it all out. So if we keep seeing trends like we've been seeing with the coronavirus pandemic going on, I'm expecting sports to be played in the fall. I've said this many times before on this podcast, that I expect sports to be played this fall in a different kind of way than what we're seeing. It's going to happen, and I don't see it being changed any other way. I think there might be fans in the stands next year. Let's think about this for a moment. I think there's going to be a limited capacity, though. I've mentioned before that I thought they might just do the distancing, the social distancing that we've been hearing so much about, and people having to wear masks and stuff. They might have to wear an outdoor venues. There's a lot of outdoor venues out there in the country. So, I mean, like, if you cut attendance in half, like I talked with Juicy last week about cutting Cajun Field in half. It's having a 40,000 capacity. They only have 20,000. Sending us Tiger Stadium, they have 100,000 capacity, cut it in half to 50,000. There's just not going to be, like, what's that going to do for ticket prices? Of course they're going to take care of the people that want to pay the most money to go see their team. So, but in the contrast of UL, they have a hard enough time filling up the stadium as it is. Like, last season, I think the most crowd they had was 18-something thousand people, which isn't a lot. And I mean, it's not fair to pick on them, but that's just the way, that's what the numbers added up were. I mean, they did pretty good with the App State game, bringing people in the crowds and stuff. But social distancing it's gonna be a really tough thing to enforce at them stadiums, because you got family members and stuff. It'll be just like Walmart, or they might just be like, you know what, we're not gonna even worry about the fans. We'll just do it with no fans in the stands. Like, NASCAR plans on running their races, and the PGA Golf is still going to do their thing with no fans as well. So, I think everybody's kind of waiting to see at this point of what's all going to happen and what's going to do what. But I'm excited to see how this is all going to work. So, another game that I'm interested in is the Philadelphia Eagle game. I want to see how Carson Wentz does against the Saints defense and Patrick Mahomes against the Saints defense, which that could be a very big time game toward the end of the season. And, their revenge game against the Vikings. So, like the last 3 games the Saints have, the Kansas City Chiefs, Minnesota Vikings, and at the Carolina Panthers, are going to be possibly during playoff spots, and everybody's settling up for a playoff push, if you will. But you got to take care of business in the beginning of the season, so whenever you get down to that point, you ain't stuck there waiting for a miracle to get in the playoffs. It just doesn't work. If you're trying to wait late and get in there, it just doesn't work out that way. So if we're looking at all this here, I've thought a lot of these games are on Fox. You got like 5 Sundays in a row for Fox, and you have only one game on CBS, I think. Yeah, that's it. Only one CBS game this entire season. They have 2 on ESPN. That's Monday night games. One against the Chargers, and the other one is against the Raiders. So that'll be interesting. I'm excited to see how the season's going to go for the Saints here. So if I had to pick my top 5 games for the Saints this upcoming season, considering how much the NFL changes on a yearly basis here, just in the NFC South, like I said in general, like just people just moving around and stuff like that. Got Malcolm Jenkins back on the Saints here, came from Philadelphia. He's got to play his old team. So I think the top 5 games for the Saints to play is going to be their first game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The second game I got on that list is the Green Bay Packers. Third game on that list, the San Francisco 49ers. Fourth game, the Kansas City Chiefs. And the 5th game, the Minnesota Vikings. I think those are the Saints' 5 toughest games they're going to have to play next year with this upcoming season coming up. So, yeah, and the worst part is toward the back end of their schedule, they got Kansas City and the Vikings. So you got to deal with Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs and Kirk Cousins for the Vikings. So we're going to see the Saints have had their heart broken by the Vikings a lot recently. But we will see what will happen when the 2020 season starts. So I'd like to get y'all take on this. Who y'all think the Saints' top 5 teams on the schedule that they're going to have to face here? I got my picks already. I already told them. I'll say it again just so y'all can get a reminder. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Green Bay Packers, San Francisco 49ers, Kansas City Chiefs, and the Minnesota Vikings. I think it's going to be their 5 toughest matchups for this upcoming season. So, anything else am I leaving off here that I want to talk about here today? I decided to do a really quick one. I know it's kind of short, going about 15-minute podcast here. Not really much to talk about this week too much. I could go into recruiting news. Also, a very interesting note that I saw an article about was, let's see if I can pull it up for y'all real quick here so I can kind of, yeah, this was not really that good of a thing for, the Saints did terminate the contract of guard Larry Warford. That wasn't something I wanted to talk about though. I think it came out yesterday. So, the Ravens safety, Earl Thomas, Okay. So yeah, Earl Thomas was held by gunpoint by his wife after an alleged affair in a hotel room with his brother, or it was two different hotel rooms. It was a very interesting thing. So yeah, that was a really interesting thing. We got the article up on our Facebook page if you would like to tune into it. So I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Fishbowl Radio here tonight. Thank y'all for tuning in. We hope y'all like the episode here and give us your top 5 games for the Saints this coming season. Thank y'all. Have a great and wonderful night.